All right, we got a preview of UFC 237 tonight. Main event, Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade, as well as the co-main event with Anderson Spider Silva facing Jared Cannonier, as well as Jose Aldo versus Alexander Volkanovski in Rio de Janeiro tonight. How you guys feeling about this card?
Lackluster card, to be completely honest. There's two fights I care about, main event and then the Jose fight.
Really? You're not worried about the Anderson Silva fight?
Not really. He's just kind of, on his, his last hurrah. I
feel that for both of them, though, speaking of Aldo and Silva.
That's what I'm saying, though. Aldo is going off, closer to the top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He just found his kryptonite in Holloway,
Yeah.
Other than that, though, I don't think there's any other featherweight that can really fuck with him, to be honest.
That's kind of what he's showing.
And Silva...
what was his last fight? Who did he beat?
Jeremy Stevens?
I think he had a fight in between there. But you might be right with that.
Because, my bad, Renato Moicano.
Yeah.
And he beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of him.
So, that's what I'm saying. He's still proving himself to be a top 2 featherweight in the world, just not against Max Holloway. Max Holloway just, knows how to beat him.
Yeah.
Silva, it's just, I've kind of been off the Silva wave ever since he came back after, he healed his leg and he had that piss poor fight against Diaz.
Yeah.
I've just kind of been off of him.
No, and what, he was out for...
What, another year and a half?
Yeah, almost 2 years after that fight.
For popping dirty, I'm just good,
I kind of feel you. I think the Adesanya fight helps his case a little bit more, just because it was a good fight and it was entertaining. It was fun to watch.
It said it was only 3 rounds though.
Yeah, and especially to see those styles mix up.
Right. That should have been 5.
And not to mention, at least Anderson Silva is in the co-main event, unlike other fallen legends on this card.
Yeah,
because my boy BJ Penn is looking at the...
he's leading off the ESPN prelims.
Yeah.
Never been the same since he lost twice to Frankie Edgar.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that is very true. He really... Well, actually, I disagree with that, because after he lost to Frankie decisively the second time, he came back with the 23-second knockout of Matt Hughes.
But what was Matt Hughes at that point?
Right. Matt Hughes was coming off of a win over Enzo Gracie in that fight.
What was Enzo Gracie at that point?
We could keep going down.
Exactly. So
he looked impressive.
And not to mention the John Fitch fight. He looked very impressive in the first round and a half. And that's one thing that has honestly plagued BJ his whole career, I think, is
motivation.
Motivation. Well, one, motivation, very much so. But 2 is the fact of just these fights where it's he is bulletproof the first round and a half, and then the rest of the fight, it's where the fuck did that guy just go? Because that was the Fitch fight. It ended up being a draw, and it was halfway through the fight, it was where the fuck did the BJ go that was whooping this man's ass just a round ago? And I think that goes for... it kind of started with the Frankie fight at UFC 112 that, I don't know. The judging wasn't very well for it, but...
Yes, it was.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that first fight, Frankie...
You know what fight I'm interested in that you guys didn't mention?
What's that?
Was the Volkanovski fight. Because he beat Chad Mendes into retirement, so I just want to see if he's the real deal. Or was Chad Mendes' head just not in the game? Was it good Volkanovski, or was it just bad Chad Mendes? And I think that's something that we'll see tonight.
I totally agree with you. And Volkanovski's coming in with a 19-1 record. He is no slouch. That's going to be a really interesting fight, because something me and Ray talked about, I think for the Moicano fight, is 3-round Jose Aldo.
Go.
That's another animal. That's scary.
Where he knows have to plan for a gas tank for 5 rounds. Oh, he just puts his foot on the gas and don't let go.
Mm-hmm. And even the Jeremy Stevens fight, man, he went right after Jeremy Stevens, and like we're saying, that 3-round Aldo is a different Aldo than 5 rounds.
Big facts.
So other than that, really, main card, we've got Betch Correia against Irene Aldana.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I personally got Aldana in that fight.
Yeah.
Correia.
I don't know much about Aldana, honestly.
If I'm not mistaken, she's a Mexican fighter or Mexican American fighter.
Mm-hmm.
She's looked impressive in the past. Like I've seen like little bits and pieces of her. She's like very well rounded. I don't know exactly what's her strong suit.
Yeah, 9-4 record. They're fighting at 135 pounds. Mm-hmm. She's gonna have a 4.5-inch reach advantage, but she's 5'9" compared to Betch Correa's 5'5", so that'll be interesting to see the link.
That's what I kind of expected. I figured she'll play the outside, pepper her with jabs, and cruise to a 3-round decision. Because I haven't seen much pop in her hands. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to Correa. Correa has a bit more power, but Correa has a hard time closing distance. You know what I'm saying?
And that'll definitely be something very difficult in this fight. And we saw that in the Holly Holm fight.
Yeah.
The Ronda Rousey head kick comes back. that shit was great.
That shit there.
I agree with you. I got Aldana, even though I don't know much about her, but just looking at the matchup on paper, it doesn't look good for Betch because she does not fare well with the ranged striking, and like you said, she has a hard time getting inside. Mm-hmm. Other than that, on the main card, Thiago Alves versus, I'm about to butcher this man's name, but Loreno Starpali. That's what it looks like. Argentinian fighter. I think the only other...
Starpali?
Yeah, and this is his first fight in the UFC, it looks like.
Oh, wow. That's a hell of an introduction.
8-1 in his career compared to Thiago Alves' 28-13.
Maybe they're trying to find the next Ponzinibbio.
Right. Yeah, because that's the only other fighter in the UFC that I know that's Argentinian. Mm-hmm. And then, you got an aging Thiago Alves that's had problems cutting weight throughout his career, injuries.
Mental health issues.
Yeah.
He's had a lot going on in his whole career. This is kind of like end of the road for him. Just, a savvy vet you can put on there.
This card has a theme of like kind of last hurrah almost for, these Brazilian guys. With Aldo, Silva, Thiago Alves, and shit, even Betch Correia kind of. Because she has not been the same since Ronda knocked her out, really.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that's more of an end of an era type thing? Like an end of an era with Brazilian fighters? And... because I know one thing I see introduced in the UFC now is like the Nigerians are kind of coming in.
There's definitely a case for that because the only Brazilian that has a belt right now is Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
Other than that, Moraes could be the next guy at 135, but it kind of seems like Brazil, they had a hot streak, and it kind of seems like their run is, coming to an end.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Like you said, Amanda Nunes is the only one with the belt, and look at the UFC around late 2000s, early 2010s,
Brazilian champions
everywhere. You had Dos Santos, Aldo, Silva, who else was up there?
And then they had a lot of challengers too at the same time because you had Thiago Alves, Thiago Silva. Forgot 135. You had Shogun. You had Lyoto Machida.
That's very true.
You had a lot of Brazilian guys who were hot, and it just kind of seemed like it's kind of cooled off in recent history.
Yeah, very true. So moving on to the final 3 fights, and I'm gonna get into some predictions a little bit. Let's start with Aldo and Volkanovski, first of the 3 real big fights. This is going to be a tough fight, because like Randy was saying, the Mendes fight, Volkanovski was
he looked
laying the hammer down.
Yeah, he looked like a whole nother breed.
Right. And with Aldo coming up kind of on the end of his career, I think he said he wants 2 more fights, both in Brazil. I don't know. Based off the Aldo that I've seen the last 2 fights, it's going to be a dog fight. It's going to be tough, and I think they're going to end up trading shots back and forth. And I think it's going to be a real barn burner.
That's how I see it going, with Aldo coming on top with either second or third round, late into the round stoppage. I don't see either guy surviving, to be completely honest.
I can see it surviving just because of it's the kind of that dogfight mentality. I'll give it to Volkanovski in a split decision, just because of how he did in his last fight against Mendes.
I hear that. Looking at the takedown, the grappling statistics, I kind of now looking at that, I think I'm gonna go there. I think Volkanovski can win a decision, and he's got 3.3 takedowns per fight. 41% takedown accuracy, which Aldo's actually is better at 68%, but he lands less than a takedown a fight. So if Volkanovski can get the top advantage, I think that can be something. And, obviously the judges weigh heavy if you're on top compared to on the bottom with the takedowns. I think that if he mixes that in, he could definitely, especially if he lures Aldo into, some heavy striking exchanges, boom, hit a takedown, change levels, that could really work to his favor. So if he can use that, I think I'm going to go with EDJ and say a decision for Volkanovski. So then the co-main event, we got Jared Cannonier versus Anderson, the Spider Silva. No introduction needed for him. Cannonier's coming in with an 11-4 record, winning his last fight.
I'm not too familiar.
Dave Branch, I think.
Was it?
I think he knocked out Dave Branch.
Really?
I think so.
Damn, so is Dave Branch on a 2-fight losing streak?
I think so, yeah.
Wow. Because I know he had just got beat by Jack Hermanson.
Mm-hmm.
And submitted by him. That's a dude on a hot streak. But I'm just not too familiar with Cannonier besides that infographic that you posted on our Instagram. The fact that, he lands 67% of his significant strikes while only absorbing 50% of his opponent's significant strikes. So that differential right there kind of, puts Anderson Silva in some hot water.
Yeah, it was a second round knockout 41 seconds into the fight of Dave Branch, November 3rd, for Jared Cannonier.
Okay, so
and that was the first time that I heard his name. Other than that, he's got a decision loss to Jan
Blachowicz.
Thank you. And then a loss as well to, I'm not sure, Reyes.
Dominic Polo Reyes.
Yes.
That's another hot name at 205.
Oh, 205.
No, he was fighting 205ers, and I think he just dropped down to 185.
So then it looks like since he's dropped down, he knocked out Dave Branch.
Branch, who was looking like a contender, excuse me.
Exactly. So Cannonier's kind of riding a little bit of a
hot streak.
Yeah. And at this point, I feel like with looking at his UFC background, is he a contender? Is he a pretender? We are going to find out tonight. Yeah.
This is a staunch test put in front of him, but I feel like Anderson Silva will pull it off.
Yeah.
Second round KO.
And we know Anderson can still go. Obviously, with that Adesanya fight, we know he can go.
I think that proved a lot to me for Anderson Silva, because that's a guy who a lot of people consider could be the next Anderson Silva, because that kid is good.
Yeah,
he's really good.
Yeah,
and it was kind of like watching mirrors. it was pretty similar of how good they both were. So I'm gonna go with Silva because it didn't look like he's missing much in that fight. So I'm gonna go with him, but I'll give him is it a 5 round if it's coming in?
Third or three rounds.
That's what I thought. I'll give him 3. I'll give him 3 round stoppage.
Stop him in the third.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go decision. I'm gonna say Anderson wins, but by decision. I think with just like the stats we were talking about, Jared Cannonier 17% more significant strike compared to his opponent. I think that factors well for him, but I don't think that he can solve the puzzle that is Anderson Silva. But I don't know. I just don't know if Anderson has the
that still killer instinct in him
to get that.
I think he'll show this. I think this will be like his last damn Anderson.
And if he goes out there and does pull off a first or second round finish, that's kind of a little throwback to what he was during that stretch where he was just fucking everyone up. I think that go ahead right off into the sun. That's you really ain't got nowhere to go from here, because I don't want to see Anderson fight any of these dudes really, like Robert Whittaker or
no.
I mean, I think that he would kind of maybe fare well against Gastelum, but based off the Cormier fight,
no.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gastelum has faster hands than Cormier. He is going to light Anderson up.
Exactly. And then with the wrestling. And we saw how Gastelum fared against Adesanya. I mean, it wasn't awful. It wasn't great.
No,
but it wasn't.
He survived.
Exactly. But
he survived the storm.
So, that being said, we all got Anderson, all of us in a little bit different ways. Moving on to the main event. Thug Rose.
I really feel for my girl, because she's going into enemy territory and has a tough opponent.
Very tough.
The girl has knockout power, strong wrestling, super strong, hard to put away, I mean, I see her eking out another decision, but
who was it that Andrade just knocked out?
Carolina Kovalevich.
Yes, thank you. Because that was one of those, like, you just don't see that a lot at that weight.
At 115, she put a lady out cold.
Sleep. Not moving.
Catching some Z's.
Yeah. Andrade has some power.
Yeah, she's
serious
mean.
power.
And then,
but I mean, so does Rose. Yeah. I mean, we saw her put Joanna's lights out. So,
but just the way she dealt with Gadea too, you got to think about that because like she put it to Gadea, and Gadea was pretty much the consensus number 2.
Yeah,
you know, outside of the number 1 outside of champions in the strawweight division. And
that's gonna be a tough fight. And then, honestly, the video we posted the other night, I was really surprised when we did the EA Sports UFC 3 simulation where Jessica Andrade came out on top with a first round submission. I thought that was kind of... Because, I mean, when you think about it going into the Joanna fight, everybody was like, if Rose is going to beat her, it's going to be on the ground. And Rose has a great ground game. And she ended up beating her standing twice.
Yeah.
So, this is such a tough fight, I think. But at the same time, my thought was, I commented on the video, what if Rose is just Joanna's kryptonite? What if,
I don't subscribe to that. Person,
I mean, I feel that
just because like I've seen what Rose has done against a legion of different women in different styles. She's dealt with an Angela Hill, she's dealt with a Michelle Watterson, Paige Van Zant types. Like she's literally seen them all. Tisha Torres, she's dealt with them all, beat them all. You know what I'm saying? Like. So I feel like she's apt for this. It's just it's not going to be pretty. This is not going to be like one of those like showcase fights for her. If anything, it's going to showcase some heart.
Well, yeah, totally. Because if you look at this compared to the Joanna fight, you got to find a way to beat her strategically, right?
Yeah.
And you don't really have to. You worry about the strikes and whatnot, but you don't necessarily worry about the punching power. If you get hit, you're gonna keep on going. You're playing. Chess at that point. But with this one, I think it's a little bit more tricky than that because if you get tagged, you might be going to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So
it's not a guarantee that you'll keep trucking.
I think just because I was already leaning towards Rose coming into it. I think that our little simulation has me thinking that Andrade might just pull it off, but I think I'm gonna go pretty basic here and go with Rose by unanimous decision.
Right on.
Maybe split decision, but I think it's going to go all 5 rounds, go the distance. As long as she can get past, hopefully, those first few rounds and maybe tire Andrade out, get a little blood in the arms.
Yeah.
You might not have to worry about the power as much. And maybe implement the grappling a little bit. She's got a 59% takedown accuracy, averaging just about 2.5 takedowns per fight.
What's the reach differential?
The reach differential in the fight will be 3 inches. So 65 inches for Rose, 62 for Andrade. So really not that big of a reach differential.
What's the height difference?
3 inches as well.
Really? That's it?
Rose is 5'5", Andrade's 5'2".
Wow.
She seems a lot smaller than Rose.
Yeah, because I thought Rose was like 5'7". But she has a tall figure.
Yeah, she carries herself very tall. But then again, looking at the grappling statistics, Andrade is landing a little over 3 takedowns a fight with a 75% takedown defense compared to Rose's 45%. And then the accuracy pretty much identical, 58 for Andrade, 59 for Rose. So looking at the grappling stats, it does kind of favor Andrade just a little bit with that takedown defense and landing more takedowns per fight. Right. So... But I think that Rose just needs to use, even if it's just pressing her up against the fence, maybe, Randy Couture style, get some dirty boxing in and, tire her out a little bit. Let her carry you a little bit and, get into those later rounds and you can start playing that game of, because Rose's footwork is second to none after watching those 2 Joanna fights.
What about you, EDJ?
I think Rose is going to go into a tough environment for sure. I think she'll use that to her advantage.
Definitely.
I think it's easier for someone who is considered such an underdog and is the champion to just use that as motivation, for their own gain, especially in the fighting world, because it is just you and that other person. If so many people are on that other person, that's more pressure on the other person than not you, especially if it's not even in your own country. So I'm going to give it to Rose. I'm going to give her a decision, but I think it will be closer just because I think it will be a little more tactical. I think, she'll be utilized with the ground game a little more than she's used to. So I'll give it to Rose, but I think it will be a closer split than people think.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be a really close fight.
For sure. It's just not easy for either side.
No. And looking at the striking stats now, I mean, Jessica Andrade lands about 6.5 strikes per minute, 51% accuracy on her significant strikes, but she also absorbs a little over 5 strikes per minute compared to Rose's 3.7 strikes. But Jessica Andrade lands a lot more strikes per minute, almost double what Rose lands. But then when you look at the defense, Rose has a 60% rate of defense compared to Andrade's 51%. There was a 9% differential there on defense-wise. So I think that it just shows, even the stats show Andrade is more of a make something happen. Let's hurt this person. And Rose is more of a very strategical and planning out, 2 moves ahead what she's doing. And I think that's going to be the story of the fight. Can Andrade land that shot, or can Rose keep it a strategical battle?
Right. So
we all got Rose securing the victory, and we'll be watching the fights tonight. We hope you guys enjoy them as well. And we out.